What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Kangaroo Black coming back once again to address for the last time these Tennessee Volunteer fans that are still crying, whining, bitching, and moaning about the officiating in the game between their Tennessee Volunteers and my Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay, the game happened on Saturday. It is Monday afternoon, and they still crying and whining, bitching, and moaning. It is over. It ain't gonna do no good. Go cry to the officiating administration or whatever you want to call them. Go cry to them. All right? But it ain't gonna make no difference. They might review some shit and say, hey, we should have called that. Oh, we got that wrong. That's all they're gonna do. It ain't gonna help none. But anyway, all right, they still crying about this holding call on their defensive back, about this fair catch they call, which they got it at the 3 or 4 yard line, and Jermaine Burton kicking one of their players and shit. But they ain't talking about when their defensive player came down with a forearm on our running back, Roydell Williams, while he was on the ground. They ain't talking about that. But anyway, that's neither here or there right now. But all I know is last season, my Alabama Crimson Tide rolled into Neyland Stadium and got 17 penalties called on them for 130 yards, while Tennessee only had 6 penalties for 39 yards. They ain't said a word. Also, you can go back and look at it. It's all over YouTube. I tried to put some video footage in the video, but you know, YouTube says it's a copyright. But anyway, it's all over YouTube from last season. Go look at the blatant targeting call, or that was a no call against Bryce Young. Their defensive guy clearly hit Bryce Young in the head and neck area with his helmet. Also, Bryce Young was considered a defenseless, what they call it, defenseless, a defenseless player at that time when he got hit in the head and neck area by the Tennessee defender's helmet. They reviewed it and they said it was no targeting. So for all of you that says Alabama, Nick Saban have the refs and the guys in Birmingham who review these plays, they got them in their back pocket. Well, evidently not, because it was a blatant targeting call. Also from last season, a blatant pass interference, a blatant face mask on the same play against Isaiah Bond. No call. It's all over YouTube. Go look at it. Last season, 12 men on the field on the defensive side of the ball for Tennessee. No call. Go look at it. It's all over YouTube. And just like I said a minute ago, the blatant personal foul, it should have been an unnecessary roughness called on the play when their defensive player put a forearm to our running back, Roydell Williams, while he was on the ground. No call. Now, you tell me which one of those calls that these Tennessee fans is talking about. All season, they were just saying, hey, y'all blaming the refs. And my, how it has changed. The tune has changed just that quick within a matter of 30 minutes of football. And I'm talking about the second half of football, because they didn't have no complaints before the second half. None, even at halftime. And guess what? In this game Saturday, they had 4 penalties called on the offensive side of the ball, 4 penalties called on the defensive side of the ball. That's not many. 8 penalties. And guess what? I did a little research, and I found out some things that I bet y'all didn't know. I didn't know either. And that is, the Tennessee Volunteers is the most penalized team in the SEC this year. The most penalized team in the SEC. All right. They average 8 penalties per game for 69.2 yards. And guess what? This game, yeah, it was 8 penalties, but less yards. They was only penalized 55 yards. Okay. Alabama is average what, 6.9 penalties per game for 55 yards. But we have had 2 games that that we got double-digit penalties. 10 against Texas, 14 against Texas A&M. And guess what? Alabama has had 6 touchdowns and 1 interception taken off the board because of penalties. So once again, for y'all to say Alabama got the refs, Alabama and Nick Saban got the refs in their back pocket, they paying them? Well, evidently, they ain't paying them enough because their points are getting taken off the board because of penalties that goes against Alabama. So your argument is non-valid. Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Also, Tennessee. Well, I ain't going to even mention them. But let's get back to this holding call they've been crying about. Their defensive back, Gabe Julie-Lally. Yeah, he committed a hold. He grabbed a man in the inside of the jersey. One of our receivers. They out there on the island. You know you're going to see that. Okay? But anyway, it was a hold. Clearly. You can call it ticky-tack, whatever you want to call. But it was a hold. And that, it didn't have no bearing on the game. Shit, that hold, well, it did give us a first down. So we appreciate that. Teach a guy how to cover and not to hold. Not to put his hand in the inside of the jersey. You wouldn't get called. But anyway, it is what it is. All right. You like I say, 8 penalties, 4 on offense, 4 on defense. All right. You had on defense, you had 2 offsides called. You had that holding penalty. Okay. And you had that penalty where your guy was clapping his hands. Defensive guy. You know you can't. The defensive guys can't be clapping their hands. They're going to say they're trying to simulate the snap count for the offense. You know you can't do that. So you know that's going to get called. But to Tennessee fans, that's cheating. Then on offense, you had, I think you had 2 holding penalties called, I believe. Well, no, you had 2. I know you had 2 false start penalties on offense. I believe it was 2 false starts and 2 holding penalties, I believe. That's about it. That's about it. So, hey, I mean, those are calls that those are not blatant calls, man. Those are not egregious calls. You get a holding call. So fucking what? All right? Everybody, there's a holding on every play. In the trenches, there's a holding on every play, offensively and defensively. So, if you watch enough football, you all know that. But these Tennessee fans, they'll pick out 1 or 2 holds that Alabama did, but none that Tennessee guys did. It was several holding that could have been called on both sides. So, hey, suck it up. That's all I can tell you, man. That's all I can tell you. And as far as the daggone, fair catch. Okay, I went to the rule book. And the rule book clearly states if this thing decide it want to come up. But there's a thing called a valid catch, fair catch, and an invalid fair catch. And the rule book says, going by the NCAA rule book, fair catches can be deemed either valid or invalid. A valid fair catch is the type of fair catch football fans are familiar with, signaled by a player extending one hand only clearly above his head and waving that hand from side to side of their body more than once. That's what we all used to when we see a fair catch. An invalid, keyword, invalid fair catch can happen a few ways. But the key definition in this case is the first one. An invalid signal is any waving signal by a player of a team that does not meet the requirements of a valid fair catch. Now, remember, it said signal by a player, not the player that's catching the ball, which this is the case that happened with Tennessee. The guy that caught the ball, he didn't signal a fair catch. But the guy on the other side of him, back there with him, he did like this, like get away from the ball. And that was called an invalid fair catch signal. So that's why you got it at the 4. And anyway, hey, that's what it is. And in that valid, oh, I already read that. Let's keep on going down. NBC rule analyst Reggie Smith broke it down for the viewers at home. And this happened at hour 2. Same thing, but these Tennessee fans ain't taking up for hour. They just saying the ref's cheating for Alabama. But anyway, with his left hand, he begins giving a getaway signal. This constitutes an invalid fair catch signal. It is not a penalty, but the ball becomes dead at the spot where he fielded it at. So Tennessee, it's in the rule book. Tennessee fans, it's in the rule book. Go check the rule book before you continue to cry and whine and all that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It is not the ref's fault that Josh Heupel went for it on 4th down and failed every time he went for it on 4th down, which I think it was 3 times. That wasn't the ref's fault. It was not. It was not the ref's fault that nobody was covering Isaiah Bond on that touchdown to begin the second half. Nobody's. But Tennessee's. It wasn't the ref's fault that Tennessee couldn't move the ball in the second half. And going back to that daggone fair catch. Okay, say you would have got it at the 23-yard line because it took it out to the 23. But if you would have got it at the 25, who's to say y'all would have went the length of the field then? You didn't go the length of the field the whole second half. I mean, come on now. The whole second half, you didn't go the length of the daggone field. But it is what it is. Excuse me on that, Bert. But yeah, you wouldn't have did nothing anyway. So it is what it is, baby. You just have to suck it up. All right? But hey, just live to fight another day. Like I told you yesterday. All right? It ain't our fault. I mean, it ain't the ref's fault that your running backs couldn't find running lanes and they couldn't get the yardage that they usually got against other teams. And I told you y'all weren't fit to run all over Alabama defense. I told y'all that. But no, y'all talk shit, all right? Y'all started talking shit soon as you beat Texas A&M last week, talking about what you gonna do to Alabama. But you done changed your whole energy since you lost and want to blame it on the refs. When you are the most penalized team in all of the SEC this season. And just to put it out there, against Austin Peay, y'all had 10 penalties for 88 yards. I didn't hear you crying about that because you won the game. You had a daggone 10 penalties against Florida for 79 yards. You probably was crying about that. I have to check with some Florida fans with that. But I can guarantee you y'all blame that on the refs too. All right. Then Texas A&M. Last week, you had 12 penalties for 115 yards. Didn't hear you say a thing about no damn refs against Texas A&M when they call you for 12 penalties, 115 yards. You won the game, so you didn't have an issue with that. But I guarantee you, if you would have lost, you'd have been blaming the refs just like you is this week. Why you don't blame the refs when you win? You damn sure blame them when they lost. Come on, y'all do better. If you the most penalized team in all the SEC, then what you expect? And then y'all crying about, oh, Alabama only had 1 penalty. That's why you crying? That's why you crying? Well, y'all are, once again, the most penalized team in the SEC. So you should expect more y'all to get more penalties. Y'all average more penalties game than Alabama. Yeah, we was a mess last season with penalties. But not this year, even though we committed 14 penalties against daggone Texas A&M, 10 against damn Texas. But hey, y'all just didn't get the job done. You played 2 halves. Alabama played 2 halves. It's just that Alabama's 2 halves was better than y'all 2 halves. And you're talking about the refs took the momentum from y'all. No, they did. You never had the momentum in the daggone second half. Never did. Okay, Alabama took the momentum as soon as they came out the locker room. Matter of fact, y'all lost the momentum once y'all went in the locker room for halftime. You daggone scored right before the half, all right? But it seemed like soon as you had all the momentum, seemed like soon as you went in the locker room, the momentum was gone for y'all. It wasn't the ref's fault. It wasn't the ref's fault. Alabama came out and scored in 2 plays, and y'all folded. That's what happened. You folded. But oh well, you win some, you lose some. So, hey, it is what it is, baby. It is what it is. So come back and try it again. And your cornerback, number 5, I don't know what's wrong with him, but he will think twice before he run up against daggone Isaiah Bond again. Because Isaiah Bond laid the wood to his ass. Oh, my shoulder. Can't come back in the game, baby. That's what Bama do to you. My shoulder. Bro. He hit me. I thought the defensive player was supposed to be laying the wood, but Isaiah Bond put his ass out of the game. Guess what? I don't give a damn. I don't feel sorry for him. I don't. Not in the least bit. But anyway, Tennessee fans, I'm done talking about these penalties and the refs that y'all crying about. But guess what? I'm going to still be trolling your ass, and you can believe that. So, y'all have a nice Roll Tide afternoon. You know, I had a good morning this morning, a good Roll Tide morning. Tennessee fans, y'all do the same, baby. Because guess what? Alabama own y'all. Neyland Stadium is Alabama's home stadium because we win there more than y'all do. Oh, man, but yeah, y'all just fucking suck, man. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just the most penalized team in the SEC crying about the refs, talking about they cheating. You fucking idiots. But hey, once again, Roll damn Tide.